Alright guys, so this fucking video I want to be really quick. I know it's going to be redundant for a lot of you dudes, but I'm keep getting questions in my comments and in my DMs about the A3, and it's stuff that I've covered separately on videos, but I've covered them on videos that are kind of scattered throughout the A3, the K series playlist. Now, normally I don't like doing this. I would tell you to go back and watch the video, but because it would be individual links for lazy people that I would have to fucking go and dig up, I don't want to do that. So instead of ignoring people, I want to be able to make a condensed video that touches on the general questions I get, so I can just link this video from now on. So if you've already heard me talk about the E3, you don't really need to watch this. Now, okay, so one of the common themes, the misconceptions is like, or why people, one of the biggest ones is why you keep using the A3. Because they're extremely plentiful and extremely cheap. You can buy long blocks for like 80 bucks. You know, I've done that several times, right? So that's why I had a bunch. At one point in time, I had 5, and then I had to make it a point to not buy anymore. So I stopped buying them, but I still have an abundance of A3 cranks. Now, I guess the second question would be like, why are you using the A3 rods? Aren't they weakest pieces of shit? Yes, this is why I rate the A3 at much lower power levels than I rate the A2. You see A2s and K20A3s and all that shit, you know, regularly hitting 500-600 horsepower on stock rods and shit. But I would never tell you to take an A3 past 300 wheel horsepower. And then people like, wow, those rods are really similar to the single cam. Yeah, I made a video about that a long time ago. They are very similar to the single cam, which is why I don't tell you to go over 300. It's like, oh, Chris, but if you say don't go over 300 on the A3, but you say don't go over 200 on the D series, why is that if they're so similar? Well, the key difference being the rod bolt design for me personally. That's my big difference right there, right? So when you're talking about stressing a stock rod, you know, higher RPMs and more power, what's one of the first things that people generally go to and touch on? That is the rod bolts. They want to upgrade to ARPs. Well, if you look around on the internet, there's no ARP upgrades for stock rod bolts for the K series that I could find. I think that's just because of the fact that they're already so well designed, and they don't. It's not a stud with a nut on it. It's an actual run through bolt that can go straight through, and that's just a better design. You know, I think that's what attributes to holding more power, because you see a lot more often people with A3s or stock that are pushing those limits that I would say not to. You see 350, sometimes 400 horsepower K20A3s. Now we don't know how long those last, and that's the reason why I say don't go over 300. But they've been up there, and it's not so super uncommon. So, and another thing is too, you know, they see me talk about big boy K20, my big boy K20. It's because I've overboard the shit out of it. It's 2 mils overboard. It's not the stock K20 cylinder bore is 86 millimeters. The K20 I just put together last night is 88 millimeter, right? Super big bore. Now, the reason why I feel comfortable doing that is because the project's going to be NA, no force induction at all. Now, a big reason why I like going back to the K20A3, because the fact they're so plentiful and cheap, is that I don't like to waste parts. So if I have a fuck ton of cranks, why throw them away if I can use them? Now, we already know that the K series is capable of really big numbers very easily with NA applications. So that's the reason why I'm doing this, right? I very confidently believe that this setup I'm going to do is going to reach around 240 to 250 wheel horsepower on pump. So if all we're doing is an overbore and a piston swap, you know, and of course the bolt-ons and all that shit, then why not use those rods? You know, you know, as far as RPMs, I'm not gonna rev like to the moon or whatnot. It's gonna be like 8,000, 8,500. Whatever power we get at that level is fine with me, which isn't too far beyond stock levels, and the power level is well within my safety wheelhouse. So the whole point of me using this A3 is this, because of my situation now, I'm not going to get that engine running anytime soon, but hopefully when the time comes, because it's going to be an NA just drop in tune, it won't be so much a hassle for me to get the car running, you know. The whole thing is I'm experimenting with this build. I have an expectation of what I expect to achieve, and I think that once I achieve this, I can show this, and this can be like my go-to build for budget Ks for people. This way, you don't have to spend fuck tons of money on buying a long block for those people who are in areas that can't get a hold of Ks easily, and I have an engine that I can pick up for next to nothing and flip and make a very decent profit off of. The whole idea would be able to sell this block for like $700, you know, with a fresh bearings, the overbore, and and pistons and whatnot, or probably a little bit more because I didn't factor in, you know, machining. But anyway, the whole point is to have a budget K that's less than $1,000 for the block, but makes, you know, mid 200 horsepower without too much effort, right? So yeah, that's in a nutshell the K20A3. I use the K20A3 and I keep going back to it because they're so cheap and plentiful. People like damn near give them away. No, the stock bore for a K20 is not 88 millimeter. That's me boring the fuck out of it, and you cannot use A2 rods on an A3 crank. That's the reason why the people think they're trash and throw them away. You have to get an A2 crank or a Z1 or whatnot. You know, you can't use the A3 crank with those real VTEC K series engines. Rotating assembly, they don't match. Unlike the K24, which is why I say the K24 is the builder friendly K, where you can upgrade the rods to the more beefier A2s on the A4s. You can't just do that. They're not a direct swap over from the A3 to the A2. You have to change out the crank as well. So that's it, man. I know, like I said, this is redundant for a lot of you guys and watched me for a long time, but I keep getting the question, and I'm not going to answer them anymore because they are really basic. It's basic shit if you look for them, you know, and I'm just tired of answering them. All right, guys. So thanks for watching, and peace.